Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'd like to talk about PvP gear for a Wind Druid, as well as some things it excels at. I'm not going to get too into the whole mechanical side of PvPing or the types of PvP, but I do need to start off with it just so you guys understand what the gear's for. Okay, so starting off, you can make about three categories for the types of PvP there are. It's going to be this is my own categories, by the way. It would be house rules, uh, good manner, and bad manner PvP. Um, okay, so let's start off with house rules. That would be things like FPK, Hammerden versus Hammerden, Barb versus Barb, Zealers versus Zealers. It's basically a private game where everybody agrees to a set of rules and everybody's just trying to have fun. Druids are very good at this. They're actually one of the four staples for FPK, that being Wind Druid, Bone Necro, Barb versus Caster, and Trapsid. So Druids are a very good pick if you like to have the private Good Manner PvP. Moving over to Good Manner, this is more for public games. Generally, this is rules like, no healing, don't stack a lot of sword gear. Usually people are okay with one sword item because um, with like a storm shield, for example, you can stack 50% damage reduction versus physical. So generally having one piece of absorb gear, like a Raven Frost, let's say, that has 20% cold absorb, that's usually okay to do. And then the last one would be bad manner PvP, and that would be things like healing, stacking absorb gear, stacking excessive minions, like a necro can do that. Charge items, certain charges on items are bad manner. Things like slow missile on an Amazon, that kind of stuff. And this kind of PvP usually happens when there's a disagreement and people show up to PvP each other in the game, like in a Trist run. You'll just bring your high levels. Ganking, uh, Bale Runners. That's another one. You'll find trap sins come in to gank Bale Runners, and then ganking lobbies. You'll have people go into normal games and just kill low levels because that's what they like to do. Um, Druids are sort of good at this. They're good at it because they have a lot of ways to be bad manner themselves, but they're not particularly good at ganking a Bale Runner. They are good at defending one, though. They're very good at defending a Bale Runner. So those are the three categories. That's roughly where they fit into. And yeah, I think Druids are a really great class for PvP. So I'm gonna go over all the gear next. Okay. Okay. So for the gear, this is gonna take a while. So what I'm gonna do is just give you a like a I want to play a Druid right now set. I'm just gonna give you what you can just take and you'll be able to PvP right away with it. That's going to be a Hodo for the weapon, a Jalal's for the helmet, a Mara's for the amulet, an Enigma for the armor, a Spirit for the shield, Triangul's gloves, two SOJs, and you want to use SOJs over BK rings because they give you about 40 health on each one that the Oak and Call to Arms does not buff, where an SOJ gives you 25% to your mana, which is a lot more value than the BK rings. The belt is going to be an Arachnid Mesh, and then the boots are going to be Alder's Advance or Water Walk, depending on how good your fire resistance is. And you can just take that and PvP right away if you don't care to go any deeper into this. So before we dive into the gear, I just need to quickly make a note about faster cast rate and faster hit recovery. For a druid, faster cast rate is 99% and 163% for the relevant breakpoints. And for faster hit recovery, they have two that they have to worry about. For one-handed weapons that hit them, it's 99% and 174. And then for every other weapon, it's 86% and 152%. So for faster cast rate, This is just how fast your spells come out. It's very important for increasing your DPS, and for a druid, it's important for getting your tornadoes out and on the field for a higher chance to hit people. For faster hit recovery, if the druid takes more than 1/12 of their health, it puts them into a stun animation where they can't do any actions until it completes. Faster hit recovery speeds up that animation, and this is very good versus things like barbarians who are whirlwinding you, or for scenarios where you get stunned, like with an assassin's mind blast, because they will mind blast you. What mind blast does is it puts you into a stun and it gives you a white swirl that goes around your head, and what that means is any damage you take will put you into FHR when you're stunned. So this is very dangerous, and it's very important for certain matchups. Okay, so first off, we're going to start with the weapon. The druid has three choices to choose from. Those choices are a Hodo or a Heart of the Oak, it's a Suicide Branch, and it's a Wizard Spike. For the Hodo, this is the one that's going to be giving you the most damage. It has resistances baked into it, and it has 40% FCR, so faster cast rate. You're going to use this most of the time, okay? However, sometimes you're going to need more faster cast rate, and that's where Suicide Branch and where Wizard Spike comes in. Suicide Branch, you're going to want to use it when you don't care very much about the lost resistances. Now, Wizard Spike, you're going to use that instead when you do care about the resistances. I'm going to be honest, Wizard Spike is a very rare swap, and it's generally for things like a Fire Sword that has 200 FCR and is very hard for you to keep up with. But the thing is, Cyclone Shield that druids have makes sorceresses fairly easy to kill, but sometimes you just need the resistances depending on what gear you've swapped around. There's not too much to really say about this. It's more these are the weapons you'll choose from once you've made your changes elsewhere. Everything else is what's really important and needs to be discussed. Okay, moving over to the helmet. You have quite a few choices actually. Generally, what you'll be okay with using is a Jalal's. My suggestion is to socket it and put a shale in for faster hit recovery. Jalal's has FHR on it already. It has two all skills. It has resistances. It gives you strength. It's a very useful helmet, and it's going to be your workhorse most of the time. The other options are rare pelts and circlets. Now we're going to discuss the the pelts first. I'm going to show you some perfect pelts that you can get. That does not mean that you should go out into the world and be like, I want this. It's not what was on the video. I don't want it. Like you're never going to find these. They're perfect. So what you're looking for is 2 to druid skill levels, 10 faster hit recovery, uh, life, and resistances, and if you can get it, mechanics that'll give it 2 sockets. Now there's 2 different types of helmets you can get. You can get the ones that have Hurricane, or you can get the ones that have Oak. The ones that have Hurricane are ones that people picked up off the ground or they rolled them at a high eye level. The ones that have an Oak, these guys took a quality level 85 helmet usually, and then they cube it with perfect skulls with lower level characters to bring it down to level 36 item level or less. And what that does is it makes it so the staff mods for Oak, which is tier 2 staff mods, can show up with the tornado staff mods. You can never have an Oak with Hurricane. So it's either Oak and Tornado that someone crafted, or Tornado and Hurricane that someone found or crafted. Um, that why that's important is for trading. Uh, Sometimes people will tell you like, oh, this helmet's so rare, you'd never find it, and you look it up and wouldn't find it just because people don't know how to craft these. That doesn't mean they're like some mythical helmet that you will never get. It's just they cubed it a bunch of times, okay? So just don't let them pull wool over your eyes. It doesn't mean they're worthless, it's just understand it, you know? The next type of helmet a druid can use is going to be a faster cast rate circlet. Now, the next one I'm going to show you, um, this is like I know I said the last one was impossible, but this one is like very unlikely anyone's ever going to get it. But these are mods that it can roll, which would be 2 druid skills, 30 faster run walk, 20 faster cast, 10 faster hit, 20 all res and mechanics. You are never going to find that. Like you will not find that. What you're realistically going to find is going to be this one here, and the mods on it are 2 all druid skills, 20 faster cast, strength, life, all res or a specific resistance, and 2 sockets. Now this one is also impossible, but it's like a possible impossible. These ones, they're very expensive. If you can't find it, what you're prioritizing is going to be 2 to druid skill levels because you need the oak. You don't want to just get elemental skills. The 20 faster cast rate, obviously, and then the 2 open sockets. And you can get these magic, and you can go to Larzik and get them to socket it, and try to roll it with sockets and get 2. It can roll 1 though, so sometimes you can brick these. They're not worthless, but obviously you want 2 sockets. If you find a rare one that has mechanics, or it has strength and life or resistance, like if it has enough of those extra ones and not 2 open sockets, that's actually worth more and more ideal. Out of all of the stats, prioritize life first because life is giving druids the most bang for their buck. For resistances, they have cyclone barrier. It's nice, but they can they have free health from that, and strength translates into life, but only up to a certain point, that point being getting 156 strength for your spirit. Okay, so next we're moving over to amulets. This one is pretty straightforward. If you don't need faster cast rate, use a Mara's. It has 2 all skills, resistances, and 5 to all stats, so that's 5 to life and 5 to strength, which translates into life again, like we just mentioned. If you do need faster cast rate, which is kind of often, what you're looking for is a crafted amulet, and I'm going to put a perfect one up on the screen. Again, it's perfect. You're not going to find one like this. It's going to be 2 to druid skill levels, 20 faster cast rate, 60 life, and then all resistances, or it can roll a specific resistance as well. The faster cast rate, what these ones do is, since it's a caster amulet, it always rolls the 10, and then you have it rolling cast again and stacking on top. So it'll range from like 11 to 20 if you roll that second one. I'm sorry, I don't think it can actually go as low as 1% FCR, but anyways, those are the 2 most important stats. The next ones to aim for are going to be life. Like again, it's life is very flat. Life is very important to druids. These can also roll strength, but generally you want to be getting resistances out of your amulet. If you can get a really nice resistance roll one like this, you don't actually need Maras anymore. This will outclass Maras heavily, but that's not always, not on the table. Okay, moving over to armor. I mean, it's an Enigma, guys. Like, there's not a whole lot to say here. Uh, the bases, however, the easiest base to get will be a superior 15% mage plate, and then you Larzik it for 3 sockets because they can't roll 4 sockets. That doesn't mean it's the best, it just means it's the easiest one. After that, what you want to do is find a light elite armor base with a low strength requirement. The problem is Larzik will 4 open socket these, and it's tough to get a 3 open socket to drop a superior with 15% enhanced defense. Some good things to pick up would be like a Dusk Shroud, like Scarab Shell. It Whatever you think looks cool, honestly, like they're very difficult to get your hands on sometimes. So if you can just find a really nice one and it meets all those other check marks and you think it looks cool, honestly, like that's okay. Otherwise, try to get like a Dusk Shroud or something. Some people like Archon Plate, but the issue is they you're trying not to invest too much strength or no strength at all in your build. And Archon Plates, they have a high strength requirement. It's up to you, but they're not personally my favorite. That would be the highest strength requirement and defense providing light plate though. Moving over to the shields, this one's not too bad either. You have two options. It's just use a spirit or use a storm shield, honestly. Some people like to put a bear rune in their storm shields. That can be quite expensive early on in the ladder, but the reasoning they do this is because they want the bonus damage reduction. Generally, you're using a storm shield with a max block setup, or you're trying to get close to it, and you're after the damage reduction. This is for fighting against barbarians as well as other melee classes. Barbarian is the common one though, and it's also useful against other druids. And the reason is if a druid telestomps you, the first time the tornado comes out until it does its turn left or right, that is a attack you can block. As soon as it moves, it becomes a spell and you can't block it. It's also doing physical damage, so the damage reduction on Storm Shield is going to reduce that, and this can help you in mirror matchups. So yeah, basically Barbs and Druids are the main two for FPK if that's what you're doing. For gloves, the Druid has two options. The first we went over already, that's going to be Triangles. Not a whole lot to say here, 20 FCR and 30 cold res. The second option is Blood Fist, believe it or not. You're probably wondering why the hell would I use that? The reason you use it is it has 30 faster hit recovery on gloves, and it has 40 to life. You use this when you need to stack your FHR, and FCR is not quite as important to you. So like, there's quite a lot of times you'd want to do that. It's I'll go over it in another video. It's just too much to speak about right now. But you use Blood Fist if you need FHR. For your rings, there's there's even more choices for these ones. The go-to usually is going to be Stone of Jordan. Some people prefer Bulkatharos. I do not. The reason is the HP per level is just added on to the end of all of your calculations for life. So that shit is 40 life on top of your like 7k health. That is not a lot, guys, like at all. You really want flat health to be modified by your like 300% oak and your cult arms. Um, so I prefer Stone of Jordans because it's 25% more mana, and with druids, especially in a team fight, like you're gonna run out of mana putting up new wolves, throwing out tornadoes constantly, spamming your bear if you need it. Like it's it's more value. It's much more value than like 40 health. Um, the next one though is going to be a crafted ring. Oh, sorry, not a crafted. It's going to be a rare ring. You can craft them too though. It's going. This is another perfect one. You're not going to find this. This ring is too good to ever actually come out of Geed. It's got 10 faster cast rate, 20 strength, 40 life, and they can roll triple res or all res, which will maxes out at 11%. You're not, yeah. What you're after is going to be the faster cast rate, life, and if you can, try to get strength on these rings. Strength is really nice. You can also get dexterity, but if you're using a max block build, you usually want to use the Raven Frosts. But if you can get a beefy dex roll, you can use these with a max block instead too, and have the FCR to help give you some breathing room, and that can sometimes get a hodo on your character, right? But yeah, FCR, strength or dex, life, and then you want to just get a cheeky resistance on there or two. They can be quite expensive the better the resistance rolls and the better the life and strength, but you should be able to find some, you know. The other options now, that's going to be for fire, you're going to have a dwarf star. You can have 1 to 2. These give you 40 life and they give you 15% fire absorb. The reason we use these is if we're trying to be bad mannered here, and you want to just stack as much fire resistance as possible. Um, so you would put 2 of these on, and you would have 30 fire absorb, and that actually what that does is it calculates the resistances that remove the damage. It calculates for the damage that comes out after that. 15% of that is instead removed, and it heals you. And then what this really translates into is if you're missing any health, you are removing 30% of the damage after resistances with 2 of them. Um, Generally, you don't really need this versus a fire sork, but the reason we will want them anyways is because fire sorks are very good at town guarding, and they can be very bad manner with their meteors and their hydras and spamming fireballs at a distance. And I'm not trying to say all sorks are like that, but they have that tool at their disposal. So if they're going to be doing stuff like that, you might as well get these dwarf star rings. They're very cheap and you can just take them out very easily with these. The next ring is going to be Raven Frost. This is good because it has cannot be frozen. You definitely don't want to get frozen versus a barbarian, though it doesn't affect your cast rate. It has 20 dexterity. This can help you get max block. That is a perfect roll, by the way, the 20 dex. And it has cold absorb on it, so this is good versus sorks. Again, sorks aren't very hard for druids to kill, but if you run into a bad manner sork trying to camp the town exit with blizzards, you can put 2 of these on in a cold clash and he's not going to be able to hurt you anymore. Like, you will be able to take him out very easily. And then the last ring is going to be Wisp Projector. This ring really doesn't have anything except 20% lightning absorb. However, lightning is the most dangerous element to a druid, and that is because trapsins have it, and trapsins hard counter druids very hard. It's so hard to kill a good trapsin as a druid, and if anything, you need these. Like, you need at least one of them, and you need the Thunder Gods. Okay, so moving over to belts, just out of the box, the standard one is going to be an Arachnid Mesh. Not a whole lot to say here. It's got +1 to all skills and 20 FCR. We don't really care about the other stats, just these 2 alone are very good. But sometimes you need something else. So I'm going to show you again another perfectly crafted belt. You're not going to find this, and if you do, it's not going to be affordable. These can have 10 faster cast rate. They can roll 17 faster hit recovery. They can roll strength, life, and they can roll single resistance. These guys don't get all res. Um, Honestly, just the 10 FCR and the faster hit recovery rolling is tier 2 like that is going to be expensive. But if you can find these, try to get them with a nice strength roll on them or life. I mean, if you can find them with resistance, get them, but honestly, that's going to be very expensive. Moving over, uh, the next belt we're looking at is going to be Thunder God's Vigor, and you're probably like, why would I use that? That's for Amazons. We're using that because it gives you plus 10 maximum lightning resistance, and it has a little bit of lightning absorb on it. That's not a percentage that it's giving you. You still need the wisp projectors, but the plus max lightning resistance is so important just because of how scary assassins are. And we use this when an assassin is camping the town or when they're trying to gank a hammered in running bale. We just go back to town and we get this because the assassin will manhandle us otherwise. Then the last belt is going to be Snow Clash. And again, you're probably like, what? That's a Blizzard item. Okay, I understand, but we're using it because it's got 15% maximum cold resist on it. And it has the plus 15 cold absorb. That's not a percentage, it's just removing a little baby amount. Um, but we want the maximum cold resistance versus something like a bad manner Blizzard Torque. This is further reducing how much damage they're doing to you. It's very good for that. It's not something you use all the time though. This is more of a niche pick, okay? Alrighty. And now the last thing we're looking at today is going to be the boots. Um, usually we're just going to be using Alder's Advance. The reason is it has a lot of faster run walk. I really like that. It helps with barbarians. The life is high. You can get 50, and the fire resistance you can roll up to 50%. This covers up the hole that Spirit has, as well as Storm Shield. They're very good. Honestly, you can just use these all the time. But some people want more health, and they might not care about the faster run walk or the fire resistance, and that is totally okay, and it's totally fine to switch to water walks. The reason we use water walks is because they can roll 65 life, and I know you're probably like, why would I care about 15? Again, Call to Arms and Oak is that's buffing it more than 15. They're not worth it unless they're roll perfect, though, honestly, or very close to it for the health. They also do have dexterity on them, which can help with max block. Generally, I a little bit torn between the faster run and the dex, but it can help you out with that. Another choice is going to be Sandstorm Trek, and you want these to be Eth. The reasoning is because they can repair durability, so it helps with your defense. What these are bringing to the table is going to be the faster hit recovery. They have 20 faster hit recovery on them, and they have 15 strength and 15 vitality. The vitality does factor in. Um, these are basically a step below crafted boots, and I'm going to show you those next. Please keep in mind these are unlikely for you to get these. But they can roll with 30 faster run walk, 10 faster hit recovery. The life stolen and life and replenish life, that is the crafted mod, but we do like the 20 life that comes with the crafted mod, and it has enough room to roll 2 resistance mods on it. You can also roll these boots on rares and get 3 to all resistances. They won't get health, and honestly, you're like, to to get faster hit recovery and faster run walk and 3 resistances on them, those are going to be incredibly expensive. But I will mention them to you. If you find them like, wow, very nice, I would sell them immediately personally, but you can you can use those if you want. If you just go in big dick mode and you want to just flex on kids with these really expensive boots, that is you can do that. They're not bringing much to the table. I would personally sell them or never buy them, but hey, if you can get them cheap and they have little res rolls on them, you can do that. Otherwise, just use these these crafted ones because they do have a cheeky little life roll, or use Trek if you need faster hit recovery. Okay, and that's about it. Besides having an Annie, torches, skillers with high life rolls, and small charms with life on them in the inventory, that'll do you for PvP. You'll be able to participate in all of those little categories I mentioned to you earlier. If you guys want, I can definitely dive more into PvP and what druids can do and tactics in another video. I'm happy to do that. If not, I hope this video helps you guys out. And if you have any questions or concerns, shoot me a comment and I'll reply as fast as I can, boys. All right, and that's going to be it for me. Take it easy.